Hello, beautiful soul. I pray that you are doing well. Thank you for tuning in today. I am recording here from the French Riviera, my home. It's April 6th, Monday, and yes, we are living in crazy times. We here in France are not allowed to leave the house without a letter stating where we are going. We can only leave for 1 hour, and we can't go more than 1 kilometer away. So these are definitely weird times. I was speaking with my father. He's only just about 80, but even he doesn't remember a time when so many countries were in high alert like this. So these are unprecedented times, and I am really committed to supporting you in getting through this, because even though it is very scary, even though it is uncertain, some people are really stressed and freaking out. I know that we can get through this. And I know because we human beings, we human spirits, we are resilient. You were born resilient. Now, I recognize that you may not be feeling that way right now. I recognize that in the midst of stress and drama and trauma, you probably don't feel super strong. And what I want to share with you today is I recognize that in my training in trauma recovery, I know that there are generally 3 ways that we react to stress. And when that stress becomes chronic, meaning it goes on for a long period of time, there are 3 different ways that the body and the brain can react. And so I want to help you kind of tease out which is the area that you fall into so that you can have strategies to address it for where you are. All right. So if you know someone else who is troubled right now with anxiety, poor sleep, depression, maybe even tending towards suicide, if you know someone who's struggling on a financial side as well, being the managing director for Make Your Mark Global and helping small business owners and light workers, I've got some tips for you as well. So please share this video. Share this video far and wide. Share it in the groups that you are in. And if you're in some of my groups, make sure that the people there are aware, please. All right, so the reason this is important is because I got some messages over the weekend. I work with light workers and healers and doctors and therapists around the world. And some people have been able to pivot, like they have been able to move their businesses online, and they're in action. They're taking action towards sustaining their finances and such. And so obviously, if you're in that position where you can get yourself in gear and go into action mode, great. For some people, however, the uncertainty of it all, being in close quarters with some people for long periods of time, feeling your sense of liberty being threatened or at least thwarted, can create a sense of anxiety. And so in some of my past broadcasts, I have shared the attunement process, the attunement meditation for lowering stress. If you find yourself really charged up, then do that 5-step meditation process to get some calm in your body and brain. Because any action you take, if you're in the stress response, is probably not even going to be the best action for you and your family during this time. So please just click through the videos and you'll see that I have done group meditations. You can also get them online. I have put a boatload of content out online for free to help you and your family. This is also critical because for us, those of us in relationships, and that includes the relationship with your pet and the relationship with your children, the energy that you carry during this stressful time is impacting them. And even I had to go through some stuff with our sweet little Lusa, our little dog. She's been feeling it too. So I want you to have the resources that you need. Thank you, Sarah. If you'll also share this to all of our groups, please. I'd appreciate that. So you'll see Sarah has put into the chat, attunementmeditation.com. There is a free course on how to meditate. If you've not done it before, now's the time to learn how to calm body and brain. All right, so In the acute phase of one of these stress reactions, when we are dealing with heaven knows what, I've got people in my inner circle who have come down with COVID-19, and it is a nasty, nasty disease process. It is unprecedented the way that it's causing this inflammatory response for people. And so for those of us that have any underlying health conditions, this is why they're telling people that it's affecting, typically older people with diabetes or heart disease, but also any lung conditions. So asthma, where our bodies, I'm a person who has dealt with, asthma, our bodies naturally go into hyperdrive. I'm allergic to cats. Like, there's nothing fundamentally bad about cat dander, and yet some of us have a genetic predisposition where our immune response kicks in and we go into this whole allergic response. And so what we're finding is with this coronavirus, even if you're not old, I've got people close to me in their 40s that have gotten this and been knocked on their tails, some in the hospital in very dire straits. And that's because if you just happen to be an allergic type person, the kind of reaction that this particular virus is causing in some people is unprecedented levels of inflammation. So I'm only telling you this not to create more fear. There's plenty of that out there. What I'm telling you is I want you to stay home, because every time you're outside of your house, even if you think you're young, you're fine, and you don't have any symptoms, you're at greater risk of encountering someone else who might be walking around with no symptoms. We're finding that people who've been tested who had no symptoms are still showing antibodies for the virus, which means they could be shedding it and you could be getting it even if they're not coughing or sneezing. Every time you're touching a door handle, every time you're at the grocery store or the ATM or on the bus or getting in and out of a car, you're putting yourself and your family at risk. All right, so in the acute phase, sorry to go back on that stuff, but someone needed to hear it apparently. In the acute phase, we've got to lower our anxiety and stress. So 3, 4, 5 times a day, do the breathing technique and do the attunement meditation. All right? Now, you've probably heard me talking about the long-term effects. My background as a medical doctor and acupuncturist has always been about prevention. I started off working with people with addiction and eating disorders and trauma. And early in my career, 20 years ago, getting some of the most broken and sick people, finding out how their body and brain responded to trauma in early childhood, for example, or abuse or neglect, or being at war or witnessing abuse, recognizing what happens to us when we are traumatized. I then took that information to teach my other patients who weren't traumatized when they had situations come up, like a breakup or burnout or some sort of a breakdown or financial situation, so that they could prevent the PTSD, the addiction, the depression, the suicide, the domestic violence that my earlier clients succumbed to. So if you would like to know how you're being affected, like which of these 3 categories, which I'm going to share with you, then I want you to find out how this stress is impacting you, because your system is different. Yes, we are all born resilient. We have resilience muscles, and there are 10 top traits of resilience, and you've probably got a sprinkling of many of these top 10 traits. But if you're finding that your resources are being maxed out, then there's likely some effects that are showing up now. And the earlier that you find out what's going on in your system, the earlier you can take steps to remedy it. Is this making sense to anyone out there? Can I get some high fives or some thumbs up? So I'm going to share with you a quiz that is totally free. It will help you identify which of these 3 categories you're in. Are you finding that this stress or any past stress, do you tend to get into low moods? Do you tend to get depressed? Is that how it manifests for you? Are you one of those people that kind of shuts down? That could be one of your stress responses. Are you someone who's kind of like wired but tired? Like you've got this anxiety, you can't sleep, you're kind of like maybe you're not really coming up with solutions, but your mind is racing, but you're just exhausted. Like the mental fatigue, the emotional, the spiritual fatigue, and maybe you're even feeling it in your body. Well, that's another category of a person who's very likely to be heading toward adrenal fatigue or burnout. Or you might be the one who is completely down and out, where you can feel that your energy and your vitality isn't up to snuff. And that's a person who, after long-term stress and after the adrenal hormones like cortisol have been pumped up, they get to a point where they are depleted. And that increases our risk of all sorts of health challenges. It lowers our immunity. And for some people who are susceptible, it can even create flare-ups of autoimmune conditions like arthritis, like the allergies and asthma, and all sorts of other things. So it's important for you to recognize these different reaction styles so that you can take steps to remedy it. Now, somebody recently asked me about how you can deal with this in the short term. And some of you know, I started a company called Innate Vitality, where we offer information on the web around functional medicine, holistic medicine, and there's a lot of information on our site about nutritional supplements. The reality is, yes, there are tried and true supplements that you can take to boost your immunity. That's one, but also to help your body and brain bring you back into balance so that your neurotransmitters, the neurochemicals that keep you sharp and focused and functioning, and your adrenals, which are the ones that have got to keep the hormones topped up so you feel this sense of vitality. There are supplements that you can take. I happen to be taking them now myself, as is my daughter. These are perfect for short term. You've probably not heard me talk much about them because I am not a pill pusher as a doctor, but I use plant-based supplements, only the ones that have been actually tried and true and tested in clinical trials. I'm still wearing that very responsible hat, but I'm recommending it in the short term while you do the other things, okay? So if you happen to be someone who is looking for a supplement to get your body online, check us out at innatevitality.com. If you happen to be dealing with challenges and finding financial resources, particularly if you know you have a skill or you have expertise that you can be putting into action to help other people, but maybe you just don't know how to get it out there. How do you create an online course? How do you offer group coaching? How do you get set up? How do you choose which of the great things that are inside of you might be sellable online? I'm hosting a masterclass this Wednesday. So this is something I've been doing for years. I've been leading luminaries around the world to create online businesses so that they can be as safe and secure as they can with passive income. So if you'd like to join us for that, there is a health biz online masterclass. Sarah, if you don't mind, putting the links to all of these in the chat, I would appreciate that. So you can join me this Wednesday for the Health Biz online masterclass to learn how to pivot, to learn how to maybe become an entrepreneur if that's what you're being faced with right now. It could be that you just need to get a book done. Maybe you've got some wisdom that you've been sitting on. The reason I'm telling you some of the action-oriented strategies is because over the last couple of weeks, I've been giving you the meditations, the breath work stuff. I want you to keep doing that so that you can bring down your stress response. But as you go through this meditation process, you're also going to be opening up to wisdom. And it's time for you to also start thinking, what can I do? And maybe you've already been there. Of course, you've probably already been thinking this. But because I've been doing this for so many years and helped people create online businesses, I'm bringing all of my sort of wisdom and time to the table to do just that. And in fact, for those of you who have been on the wait list or have wanted to join one of my mentoring programs, that is open again. And we're even doing a short-term mentoring program to help people get their businesses up and running, where you can work with me personally. There are only a few spots left. I'm sorry. This is not some plea, one of those scarcity plays. It's just the reality. I have a few spots. So if you would like to get in on that, send me a message and we can talk. I'll be sharing more about that on the Masterclass. But it's a masterclass that many of my friends in America are sharing with doctors and healers and others who haven't, been as quick to jump on the bandwagon. And now they're looking at me like, oh, well, maybe you weren't so crazy after all. Us crazy entrepreneurs, jumping off and starting businesses. Lovely to see you, Ketan. Would love to reconnect. So thank you all for tuning in. Please check out this. Let's see if I can pop it up here. I don't see Sarah popping it in yet. I want you to take this quiz. If you are at all curious, you know how to do bit.lys. You have to type the HTTP bit. Okay, let me see if I can get this in here myself. Your burnout risk area. That is a mouthful. That is quite a mouthful. We'll put it in the chat. Please put it in the chat, Sarah. If you want to find out which of these 3 categories you are at risk for falling into as a result of this chronic stress, then please check that out. If you are interested in joining me for this health business online masterclass, where I will be sharing the step-by-step guidance you need to get yourself online fast, including a huge discount on my personal branding bootcamp, because I need as many people out there finally figuring out how do you describe what you do and who you serve, because this is the time where people who are in coaching and healing and fitness and nutrition, doctors, therapists, even veterinarians, now is a time for you to get off your duff, get off of your fear, and create an online presence for yourself, because people will be needing you. People who are either afraid or cannot go out. Our veterinarian is so far away. Today I had a consultation with the lovely Joanna Soares, who's even further away. She's in Portugal and I'm in France. But she was able to help me kind of navigate what to do next with my dog before we do jump in the car and go if we need to. So is this helpful to you? Do you know someone who has one of these 3 categories, where they're in either complete burnout, or they're looking like they're heading towards burnout and adrenal fatigue, or maybe it's the depression side, or maybe it's the anxiety side? It's definitely a time when we have to be looking at short-term strategies, because the challenge is, if you fall into one of these 3 categories and you don't address it, you may pull through. You are resilient, especially if you're practicing any of the techniques we've taught. But if you're not, the body can only tolerate this kind of chronic stress for so long. And then the long-term effects that I shared with you before are what are, likely. Doesn't mean you can't recover. You will, you can, you will get through this, because here's the reality. All of your crazy conspiracy theories aside, doesn't matter where this thing came from. We're not even going to get into that. The reality is there are enough of us who are staying home, who are not going out. It's not going to wipe out the entire Earth's population. We will get through this. We are resilient. So even if you get sick, you have a high likelihood of recovering. Okay? Now, the challenge with jobs and financial situations is we're going to have to figure that out. Now, fortunately, most countries are already putting things out there to help small business owners, to help people who've been employed in hotels and restaurants get unemployment benefits or some sort of benefits. So don't give up. This response is fast and it's coming. So you will get the help to kind of tide you over these next few months. And so don't give up hope, because one of the things that differentiates who recovers after trauma, drama, and stress are the people that have a sense of hope that the future will get better. And then the other is the people that have a sense of meaning. So as you're doing your meditation, really go within and find out, what is this? What's the meaning behind all of this? And I'm not talking about the big grand meaning of Mother Earth putting us on timeout. I'm saying, what does it mean for you? Because we as humans are meaning makers. We as humans get to decide the meaning. And what it means to me may not be the same thing it means for you. But if you have read the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, even though his parents, his brother, his wife were killed in these camps, and he saw, so many of these captors going off and being killed, he recognized that the people who survived were the ones that had some sort of reason to live. Even if they weren't sure that they would ever see their loved ones again, they were holding on to this idea of, when I see them again, this is what I'm going to do. And Viktor Frankl himself remembers, would recall saying, when I get through this, I'm going to teach. I'm going to, So it's a matter of us also thinking about, what do we want to put forth as a reason to get through. So think about a year from now. What are you going to say? What are we going to be sharing on Facebook in a year, or Insta, or wherever? Yeah, we're probably going to be like, that was hard, because it is. But we can also think about what sort of meaning we're going to take from this and move forward. Because we will rise again. We are resilient. You are resilient. I believe in you. And I am here for you. So please take the quiz, find out what your burnout risk area is so that you can get the help where you need it, and share this with other people. I don't want to see people giving up on life and ending up in suicide. We don't have to go that route. There is support. And if you would like my help in helping you build your business, or you just want to find out the roadmap and what has worked for me and my clients, join me on the free Masterclass. Totally free on Wednesday. I'm going to share with you how you can get yourself all together and online. All right, my friends? So thank you so much for tuning in. Please know that I and my team of prayer warriors and light workers around the world, we are sending out so much love and so much support to help you and to help everyone, our frontline workers. I think you Brits call them key workers. The people on the front line, the people who are still driving the buses, working in the grocery stores and the bakeries, the police, the plumbers, the people who still have to go out and make sure that life as usual is going on. We are sending out so much love and compassion and appreciation to you, to them, for keeping things going. So please, my dear friend, do the meditation and breath work. Tune in, get what you need, and know that I am here for you. I look forward to seeing you again. And if you have particular questions about what you would like me to cover next in depth, then please send me a message, and I would be more than happy to do exactly that. Many blessings to you. Remember, you are a gift to the world. So share your presence at home, from home. Share it with passion. Much love.